Pack your bags, let's go.
Hi, I'm Jodi,
I'm Kandy,
and we go places.
and we want to take you with us.
And this time we're going to talk about the ports of call at Greece, in Greece, of Greece, or ports of call of Greece on the Disney Dream.
Yes, we recently took a cruise and we had 3 stops in Greece. It was on the Disney Dream, and we started in Barcelona, and we'll talk about some of the other places that we went to. But today we're going to focus on Greece.
We had 3 Greek ports of call: Santorini, Mykonos, and Athens. Mykonos was originally not on our itinerary. It was Turkey. But due to events going on in that area, they changed our itinerary to Mykonos.
Which was sad because we were both really looking forward to going to Turkey, but maybe one day in the future.
I was really looking forward because I wanted to see all the cats.
Yeah.
But
we saw cats in
Mykonos.
Greece. Yeah, we did. We did see some, which you can check out maybe, I think, on our little Mykonos video. I think there's one cat. No, Santorini.
Santorini's got the cat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So first,
but we do have to say we may end up eventually putting out another video because JT, Kandy's son, had pictures on his phone that met an unfortunate demise. So once he gets that taken care of, he is currently still in Europe. And once he gets that taken care of, we might have some more pictures with cats.
Yes.
We'll
Yay.
show those.
Absolutely. So our first stop was Santorini, and we did talk about, we have another video if you want to go watch it, and it was about the donkey
path of death.
Yes, in Santorini. But we kind of already talked about that island, but as a quick overview, beautiful to get. If you do take a cruise there, you have to either pretty much one way to get up, and that's through the cable cars or the donkey path. The cable cars, there's only 6. So weren't you reading that they're really going to start limiting the number of ships?
Yeah, there was an article that was put out recently that Santorini at one point had 11,000 people or 13,000 people coming in, or more than that. And they said it's just too much. They have too many ships. It gets way too crowded. Yes, they need the ships for tourism. However, they said it's ridiculous. So they're going to start limiting the number of ships and the number of days that ships can go to the ports. That's going to start, I think, in 2025.
So to be honest, if you're going on a cruise and that's one of your stops and there are several ships there, I don't think I'd get off unless you book an excursion that tenders you only back and forth to that very small lower port area. But the island itself, it is very pretty. We did a catamaran excursion there. We stopped at 3 different places. We got to go swimming, and it just absolutely beautiful. And the island itself was beautiful. That little area, the port place called Fira, is small and crowded, and it was very hot when we were there.
Yeah. And the water, I have to say, the water was the bluest water I have ever seen. And we've been to the Caribbean and the Mediterranean, and the water in Santorini was just
gorgeous,
spectacular. Yeah.
Yeah.
Very cold. But still.
I'm going to say of our 3 stops, that was probably my number 3 favorite in terms of the 3 places that we went.
That was my number 2. If you took away the donkey path of death.
Okay. Yep. I agree.
With the donkey path of death, that was my.
That's kind of what did it for me. Yeah. But it has the white buildings with the blue tops, and just kind of that classic quaint Greek village that maybe you think of.
Except for, to be honest, I couldn't tell that it was classic and quaint because it was so crowded.
Yeah.
So crowded.
But when we were in the ship looking at it, then you could see that up on the hill. It was very beautiful. And the island was green. Like when we took the bus ride back from our excursion, very green, beautiful place to be. I'm glad we got to see it. For me, my recommendation would be, if you're going to see the Greek Isles, doing it on a cruise ship, because you kind of get a taste of it and then you get to come back on the ship. I wouldn't see there being a ton to do, But once again, it's not like I vacationed there for a week. So I'm no expert by any means on all things Greece.
Yeah, because there's other areas of the island that we didn't get to go.
Yeah.
We didn't see. So maybe they're much wider, less people. I don't know. But if you're going on a cruise, just be prepared. There is a way to look because you knew how many ships were going to be.
I did. Yep. It's a website. I mean, if you Google cruise ships in a port, it'll come up on there and you can click on it and you find your date and the city, and then you can see how many cruise ships are going to be in that port on that day. So,
Yeah. And honestly, it's not built. Greece was not built for a ton of cruise passengers.
yeah, agreed. So our second stop,
Mykonos. That was my favorite. That was my number one.
me too. My number one.
liked it. And then going back and looking at the videos of it, I like it even more. It was harder to appreciate while we were there only because we were walking in circles, which is something that you do. And it was like, you don't get to really, you get to look around and stuff, but we didn't go on an excursion. We went on our own. We didn't take an excursion and we walked and we passed the same buildings several times. And I still could not tell you which way, where, how, what we walked.
It all kind of looks the same.
Ways.
And
Yeah.
I will say, we originally did have an excursion, a private excursion that we had booked, and then we did some reading, and so many people were saying, you really don't need to book something. It's such a small place, and it turned out to be true. I was really glad that we did our own thing. You know, we saw the windmills, we saw Little Venice, we had a Greek meal, we got to experience everything, and it's just a small, quaint area. And the great thing is our ship, not every ship, because there were other ships there. Our ship got to use the port where we got to walk right off the ship. There were two.
I mean, not tendered, but yeah.
No, we didn't tender. We got off, and then to get to the area, there was that little, that was within it was like a little taxi, a water taxi.
Water taxi. Yeah.
But it was like built around, it was almost like a lagoon kind of area. Cause like we ported, people did walk it. It would have been a long walk to get to the touristy area, but there were other things that you could do, but we wanted to go to the touristy area. So we took that little water taxi, which was 5 minutes, probably so fast. But there were two other ships there that they had to be tendered in to the area and then do whatever they wanted to do.
And I think walking around, we talked to people when we went into like the gift shops and stuff. We had conversations. The Greek people that we talked to, or the Mykonos people, whatever you want to, were really, really nice. The ones that we did get the opportunity to sit and talk with. Just like in Santorini, everybody on the catamaran was really nice.
So nice.
The people from
there. Nice. And it was just a nice, quaint day. You know, we wandered, we saw the sights, we had a meal, we tasted some of the local flavors, and then we headed back to our ship. I would say we were probably there for maybe 5 or 6 hours.
Yeah, we walked around for a while.
Yeah, I mean, I think we were in port for 10 hours that day, maybe even 2. It was a long stop that day because the Greek islands are so close to each other that the ships don't have to okay, we got to start hightailing it out because we're going across, a long distance. It was short. So it lended itself to more time. That is one thing to think about. If you are booking a Greek cruise, you're probably going to get more time because everything's pretty close to each other. So.
And they also, since they were going to go to Turkey, they had planned it out so that there was going to be enough time. I don't remember how long our Turkey stop was supposed to be.
It was still a decent amount of time because it's still relatively close, not as close, but relatively close. So,
but it was, I really liked Mykonos. If I were to pick one to go back to, it would be Mykonos. Although we did a lot of the touristy stuff and I don't know what else is left to do there.
There really wasn't much. I feel like I was totally satisfied with what we did. We had a fun time. I would say, if you're there, have a meal, walk around, see the windmills, everything we said, little Venice, pet a cat.
Or 2 or 3.
Yeah.
And then from Mykonos, we went to Athens.
Mhm.
Athens, in my opinion, was a disappointment
Mhm.
because it was just a city like any other city, a crowded big city. And I was expecting it to be more like Santorini, more like Mykonos, and it was more like a
Los
city.
Angeles.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then, but the interesting thing is peppered in between the city, you're driving and all of a sudden the bus stopped and it's like, here's the Olympic arena from whenever. And it's like just in the middle of two skyscrapers or
Like
whatever.
like a liquor store and a skyscraper.
There's the arena and it's like, oh, okay. The Parthenon, when we went to the Parthenon, again, in Rome, just a little aside, in Rome, yes, you have right in the middle of everything is the Colosseum, but everything around it is pretty old as well. Not
Yes.
necessarily very modern, but it's like all of a sudden you look and it's like, whoa, there's the Colosseum that we've always heard about. In Athens, you have very modern and then very old. And then you look to your left and it's like, oh, that's the Parthenon. Right in the middle of everything is the Parthenon. I imagined it would be out in the middle of nowhere and it was just Parthenon stuff.
Mhm.
Maybe many, many years ago, but that's
Yeah, no, it was weird. It was like, oh, we're here. I just felt like we were like at a park, you know,
Yeah.
and we all got out. And that was a place, I think everybody in Athens was, I mean, I can't even tell, there were bus after every cruise ship, because there were other cruise ships there. And I think every vacationer, I mean, I've never seen, like, literally we were getting filed in and we were like walking around and we were on a tour where we had the headset and it was really hard to understand. It didn't come through really well. And then you're having to stay with your group. And it was like, okay, you're walking. Okay, look over there. There's that statue. Okay, keep walking, keep walking. Like they were just like, so you didn't really get to like stop and just kind of take it in and be like, wow, this is really cool. There wasn't even time to read the little placards.
Yep.
Because we were just like, go, 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 move, move.
And I know people will say it's that way in a lot. Like if you go to the Louvre with
Mona Lisa.
yes, thank you. I'm like, oh my God, how did I forget her name? It starts with an M. You know, that it's this little picture way
Yep.
far away because everybody's there. I know that places get crowded, but it was also very hot. We got really lucky though, because a week later they had to close it because it was too hot and people were passing out. When we went, it was like 93, something like that. It was in the 90s.
And it felt like 100.
Oh, it was not fun. The best thing about Athens was the food.
Yes, that's what we're going to get to next. So we did the Parthenon. Well, we also had good food in the last place, but yeah, I agree overall. But then we had an amazing meal coming up here soon.
Yeah. We went to the Parthenon and then we walked around. We just stopped. She stopped and
She gave us like a half hour free time, but you had to use like 20 minutes of it to get back down. So it was like run to the restroom, stand in line, snap a quick picture, and then head on out.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then we did a few more stops along the way, like the Olympic Stadium, like you said, and there were some statues and, you know, just that was pretty much what it was.
it was
Yeah.
it wasn't, I mean, sadly, I was expecting what you see in the movies, what you see in or Percy Jackson stuff. And it's like, oh, this
Like
is
even just to get a minute to take it in and be like, oh, you know, like let me read that. Oh, wow, that's
the
where that
history.
it
Yeah.
was. It was, I mean, it was funny because I was kind of joking, kind of not joking. I was like, wait, Jodi, where were we just at? Because it was just so get out of the bus, go, 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 get up, go, go,
Yeah.
you know, and it was like, hey, walk through, walk up those stairs, walk around. And then it was like, wait,
We're done.
yeah.
I mean,
So,
we saw it. Did we see it? Did we see
Yeah.
the actual Parthenon?
yeah.
That's, you know, because there's other little buildings there too. And she's talking about them, but you can't understand what she's saying because half the time it wasn't working, her end. And then she would walk and now you've lost her.
Yeah.
And it's just like, oh, I guess, okay, let's take a picture here. Let's go. It was,
We have the pictures to prove we were there, and
Yeah.
we'll do a video on that. But
Yep.
yeah, Am I glad I saw it? Of course, yeah, it was cool, but it was just kind of like, oh, what happened? But
Did
then
it
we
leave an
went and
impression on you?
yeah, what? No. No,
No,
sadly. I mean,
I
yeah, it
wasn't
was
awestruck.
no, and I was, well, my son's really into like Greek mythology and stuff, but even for him, I don't think he really got to be in that moment because it was like I remember one time we were trying to take a picture and it was like everybody's like, "Go, you got to move." Like you couldn't even click a picture. It was like I was literally walking by and just like click, click, just to get a couple shots of
And it's hard to get any shots without people. Like I finally had an open spot to take a picture with my son and this woman, again, photo bombs. And I'm not complaining about the woman because it's her right. Everybody's walking around, but that's how crowded it was. It's like you can't even find a way to take a picture without a person in it
yeah.
of the stuff. So it was that bad.
And we were asking, is it always busy? And they said, yes, it's always busy. I don't imagine, we were there in the very beginning of summer. I would imagine probably off season. I'm sure it's less crowded, still crowded, but maybe, it would be nice to go in the fall or maybe in the spring or, a little bit more off season.
And when it's a little cooler.
Yes, definitely.
Because yes, it was definitely hot. So then she dropped us off at a town square. And we decided to go get some lunch. So we went walking. Now, one thing is there is an abundance of places to eat. And I love all of Greece, but I love that they have a lot of outdoor.
Mhm.
We're getting more outdoor stuff. I love the outdoor eating, but it's like you have an outdoor restaurant and then another one and then another one. It's like you don't know which one you're in or you're going to.
I imagine most of them were probably pretty good,
And people say that we eat a lot and our portions are big. These portions were big.
Yes.
They were nice size. And I'm not going to bring them up on this vlogcast because I'm going to do a video. We're going to post a video and you got to watch the video to see the food. We'll tell you about the food, but you got to watch the video to see the food. See there? But, and they were so nice. I could have sat there all day.
Yes, we were all, because it was the four of us. It was Jodi, her son, and myself and my son. And we were just like so enjoying the moment, loving the food.
Music was playing. Music was playing from somewhere.
Yeah.
It was just, and there was a nice little breeze. And the people were really nice and they didn't rush you. Aw, that's Bear. And they didn't rush you and they didn't, and then they gave us dessert for free.
Yes.
Greek yogurt with honey. It was so good. Then it was just the whole atmosphere was what you want in a vacation. It's what you think about Greece. We're sitting outside. We have our gyros, our moussaka, our everything and beer. And it was just, they were so kind and friendly and everybody around. The only thing that I don't like, and this is on all the islands and Europe in general, is we have no smoking. We're so used to no smoking everywhere. Yeah. They smoke. Mm-hmm. And so you're going to run into the cigarette smoke stuff.
Yeah, even sitting next to you on the next table, it could be, it's just, it's everywhere. It's outside dining
thing that I just,
yeah, because we're not used to it. So you really get hit with the smell. If you're used to it, then it's not a big deal. I will say, so the end to our Athens day, we ended on such a high note. We're in Santorini. We ended on a very low note. At Athens, we ended on a very high note. And so that's for me why I would say Mykonos was number 1, Athens was number 2, and Santorini was number 3 for me.
Yeah. And that is it. You are the impression, like your first impression with people. Sometimes it's hard to get past that first impression. Your last impression of something is typically what you walk away with. So that's why Santorini, I was loving Santorini until the end. And I'm traumatized by Santorini now. Yeah. Athens was like, I could be home. Oh, yeah. There's a historical 1,000-year-old building right there. And then again, I could be home. Oh, there's another historical thing.
But that meal, I remember just the ambiance and the camaraderie we had, and just we were sharing food, trying things, and and we were like all so like, oh my gosh, I'm so glad we did that. It was so good. So
it made the day. That saved the day. Like Santorini ruined it. That saved the day. That saved Athens. I would go back to Athens to eat at that place again.
Which we'll list it in our next video.
Yes. And unfortunately, we couldn't take doggy bags home because none of us finished. Because there was so much food.
It's a great price too.
And it wasn't expensive.
It's very affordable.
That was another thing. The prices were very reasonable.
And I think it depends. One thing I will say is our tour guide, she did say, hey, go in that direction, because she had brought us to a place that was a little bit more kind of fine dining, and I would say probably more of a touristy place. I'm sure it was good, but it was definitely higher priced, and maybe you were paying for just that very pristine setting. But where we went was kind of off the beaten path, tons of restaurants, you kind of got more into like, I don't know, I felt like the heart of where the food was. So sometimes it's worth kind of, taking a little trek and trying something new.
I mean, I think the other place would have been good. I
sure would have.
It looked good, but this was more hole in the wall homey. It wasn't a hole in the wall, but a hole in the wall homey, as opposed to going to a fine dining establishment.
Yep, I agree.
That, and again, the prices were super reasonable and huge portions and really good food.
Yep. So it was overall great experience, I would say, for the most part, going to Greece. I'm glad we did it. I'm glad our crew stopped there. I feel like we got a very good taste. We had highs, we had lows, we had fun. If you're going to Greece, eat the food. And you can sometimes Yelp, like when we were on Mykonos, we were kind of trying to find something that kind of matched what we were looking for. So we were using, was it Yelp? Maybe I think, in like the reviews. And, sometimes it's nice if you're somewhere and you're not sure to even just look up what's the general consensus. Mm-hmm. Is it generally, getting pretty good with a couple of, because there's always going to be someone that's not happy. So I always like to go for a 4 or more, 4.0 or more.
Out of 5. Out of 5.
If you pull it up and it's a 1.5, it's like, don't eat there. But yeah, we had a great time.
I know Greece was on my bucket list. Greece was on my bucket list for a long time. I will say I wasn't as impressed with it as I had hoped I would be. But I'm really, really, really glad that I went. And if someone offered me the opportunity to go again, I don't think I would turn it down, but I wouldn't go out of my way to go again.
Yeah, I agree. I think we had fun. I'm glad we went there. We saw a lot of cool things, and had fun, and it's beautiful. But yeah, there's a lot of other places that are still on my bucket list that I want to go check out. So,
and when we do, we'll bring you guys with us.
Yes. And we still have more places to talk about, and kind of like how there's places that we do want to go back to. Some places we visited and we're like, oh yeah, absolutely would love to go back there and explore it more. So for Greece,
a lot more. We have a lot more ahead.
Yes.
So on that note, subscribe, share,
comment.
That's why we would love to hear from you. If you have been to Greece, any of those islands or other islands, let us know. Let us know what your experience was like. We want to know. We want to share. We want to hear.
Yes. So thanks so much.
Until then.
Bye.
Vacation vibes forever will stay.